Hello, everyone. Welcome back. So we're going to deal with the concept of oligopoly. All right. So oligopoly, like monopolistic competition, lies between perfect competition and monopoly. So let's take a look. An oligopoly is a market structure with a small number of firms. Okay. So very quickly, perfect competition, many buyers and many sellers. Monopoly, one dominant seller. Monopolistic competition, you also have high level of competition. Okay, you have many buyers and many sellers. And for oligopoly, you have very few sellers or few number of firms or a small number of firms, none of which can keep the others from having significant influence. All right, this concentration ratio measures the market share of the largest firms. So concentration ratio talks about the percentage of firms that are controlling the market under oligopoly. Okay, what amount of firms can we say are controlling the major market share? So we could say 7 firms with a collectively 70% of market share. Okay, so it means that 70% of the market share is controlled by 7 firms. Okay, it's controlled by 7 firms. In oligopoly, firms are interdependent. So remember when we talked about monopolistic competition, we said that collusion is impossible. Collusion is impossible because we have various players. We have high level of competition. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why collusion is impossible. All right, but for um, oligopoly, the firms are interdependent and they face a temptation to cooperate to increase their joint economic profit. Okay, it is a defined feature of oligopoly. Interdependence means each firm's actions influences the profit of all other firms. For example, so let's give an example. For example, when Penny Stanford opened a coffee shop in Bellevue, Washington, nearby Starbucks coffee shop took a hit. Within days, Starbucks began to attract Penny's customers with enticing offers and lowest prices. Starbucks survived, but Penny eventually went out of business. Penny Stanford and Starbucks were interdependent. Okay, so interdependency means that a firm's decisions or one firm's decision could influence another. Okay, just by reducing or just by tweaking your price, other firms might be affected. Okay, so in addition, in an oligopoly, prices are rigid or sticky due to interdependence. So since one firm's decision can affect another, then we have a situation of what we call sticky prices or price rigidity. The concept of price rigidity will be explained in what we call kinked demand curve. We'll take a look at that in the concept of kinked demand curve. And this is further presented in figure 9.13. Furthermore, firms in an oligopolistic market can form a cartel. A cartel is a group of firms acting together, colluding to limit output, raising prices, and increase economic profit. For example of a cartel, OPEC, okay, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Okay, so those guys try to have a say in terms of oil prices, or in terms of oil supply. Number 4, the firms in an oligopoly might produce an identical product and only compete on price, or they might produce a differentiated product and compete on price, product quality, and marketing. Okay. Number 5, there's a high barrier to entry and exit. So natural or legal barriers prevent the entry of new firms. Just like when we talked about monopoly on the types of barriers to entry, legal, ownership, and what's the last one? And natural. In oligopoly, there's also barrier to entry. You could have natural or legal barriers to entry will prevent other firms. And it could also be ownership, okay, which will prevent other firms from coming into the industry. The economic and legal concern is that an oligopoly can block new entrants, slow innovation, and increase prices, all of which harm consumers. Number 6, the maximization of profit might not be the sole aim of the firm. Okay, so in oligopoly, because there are few sellers, some of the goals of the firm might be, we have done motivation of a firm, might be to control the market share. And if a firm wants to control the market share, it might not mind reducing its price so as to take charge of the market because of the long run benefit of it. Okay? So their profit maximization might not be their short run goal. Of course, that might be their long run goal, but one of their major goals is to ensure that they gain control of the market because it will translate into profit in the long run. It might translate into profit in the long run. Now, let's talk about the concept of Kinked demand theory or Kinked demand curve, or the concept of why are prices rigid in oligopoly. In 1939, American economist Sweezy and Hall and Each in the UK came up with Kinked demand curve hypothesis to explain the reason behind this price rigidity under oligopoly. According to the Kinked demand curve hypothesis, the demand curve facing an oligopoly has a kink at the level of the prevailing price. This kink exists because of two reasons. The segment above the prevailing price level is highly elastic, and the segment below the prevailing price level is inelastic. So figure 9.13 shows a Kinked demand curve DD with a kink at point A. From the figure, we know that, okay, so this is it here. So point A is the kink. This is the demand curve, DD. The portion above this price here, this is highly elastic. Why? Why is it highly elastic? So we are talking about why there's price rigidity. If a firm increases its price, let's say to P1, right? P1, this being green. Let's see. What's going to happen? Quantity is going to fall drastically. You can see that. Okay, you can see that this portion is more than the change in price. So if one of the firms in an oligopolistic setting increases its price, then the quantity demanded by consumers will fall, and it could be drastic. Okay, so if that is going to occur, other firms will not follow to increase the price because each firm is trying to find a way to control the market, to have a major market share. Yeah, so if a firm should increase its price, other firms will not follow suit because first of all, the firm who increases its price will lose some customers. Yes, so that is not a good decision to make. And remember, we said for oligopoly, the firms are interdependent. Okay, they are interdependent. So it will be wise to increase your price because you're going to lose customers. At the same time, if the customer reduces, if the firm reduces its price, let's say to P2, this side is highly inelastic. Okay. Of course, you know that if price reduces, although quantity increases, but inelastic simply means that quantity change will be lower. This is it here. The price change will be more than the quantity. Okay. So this is, let's say Q, let's carry Q2, this is Q1. So the price change will be smaller. We've done elasticity, and this should be clear to you. So the price change will be more than the quantity. Sorry, the quantity will be smaller. The price change will be more. And so what does that mean? That means that that firm can lose revenue, make less revenue, which translates to less profit. Okay? So remember that we said that the firm's aim might not be to initially maximize profit. Maybe in the long run, they would like to maximize profit, but they want to control the market. So if they increase the price, it will be wise to follow suit. If they decrease the price, their revenue falls, which translates to less profit. And so, where will be the best point for them to stay? The best point for them to stay will be this point. Okay, that's why prices are rigid, because here is elastic. If you increase the price, the demand for the good will be lesser in larger proportion. If you reduce the price, the quantity demanded will be more a little bit, but the price changes will be more than the quantity demanded. And so that will reduce their revenue, which translates to reducing their profit. Okay? And so that's why price remains rigid. Price remains rigid. Let's see the explanation that we have here. Okay. Is here. There's a logical reason behind this assumption. When an oligopolist lowers the price of his product, the competitors will feel that if they do not follow the price cut, then their customers will leave them and buy from that is offering a lower price. Therefore, they lower their prices too and maintain their customers. Hence, the lower portion of the curve is inelastic. It implies that an oligopolist lowers the price, it can obtain very little sales, just like we talked about. On the other hand, when a firm increases the price of its product, it experiences a substantial reduction in sales. The reason is simple. Consumers will buy the same similar product from its competitors. This increase in the competitors' sales, and they will have no motivation to match the price rise. Therefore, the firm that raises its price suffers a loss and hence refrains from increasing the price. Also, if a firm reduces its price, other firms will follow suit. It will lead to what we call a price war. Okay, a price war is where firms will compete on price to be able to control the market or have a greater market share. So remember, if the firm increases its price to P here, other firms will not follow. If the firm reduces its price, other firms will follow suit. Okay, other firms will follow suit, because if you reduce your price, other firms, other customers will shift to you, and so other firms will also reduce their price, which leads to firms competing on price, which you can call price wars. Okay. Now let's take a look at duopoly. A duopoly is a situation where two companies together own all or nearly all of the market for a given product or service. A duopoly is the most basic form of oligopoly, a market dominated by a small number of companies. A duopoly can have the same impact on the market as a monopoly if the two players collude on prices or output. What are the types? We have counter-duopoly. It states that the quantity of goods or services produced structures the competition between the two companies in an industry. According to the model, the two companies decide collaboratively to split the market between one another. If one company alters its production levels, the other company must also alter its production to maintain the equilibrium of a 50-50 split of the market. What about the Bertrand duopoly? The Bertrand duopoly states that it is price and not production quantity that structures the competition between the two firms. The model posits that consumers will choose the lower price product when given two choices of equal quality. This implies that the two companies in the duopoly will engage in a price war to gain market share. Let's take a look at some review questions. What are the characteristics of oligopoly? What is the Kinked demand theory? Draw the graph. What is duopoly, and what are the types of duopoly? All right, thank you so much. I hope you've been able to learn. Please feel free to put a comment on my YouTube section, and also kindly like, share, and subscribe. All right. So I'll see you guys in my next class, where I talk about game theory. All right. See you and bye-bye.